What's up, guys? Today we're going to install a bunch of suspension parts on Manny's CRX. What up? And all the parts today are a lot of parts that are from my old track car and also from my old 90 Civic Si. We got the DA rear disc brakes. We're going to attempt to loop the e-brake cables. I see a lot of people that say you can loop them, so we're going to try it today on a CRX because we know they're already a little too long. So we're going to attempt that. These already have the energy suspension rear trailing arm bushings. They have the coil bearings and the ARP wheel studs. And then the pads and rotors are still in really good shape, so we're just going to leave those alone. We have the Skunk 2 front and rear camber kit we're going to put on. We're also going to put on the front radius rods, shifter bushing from energy suspension. We're putting on some Prothane for the rear compensator arms, and these are kind of neat. I've never tried these before. These are the white line. These are the front lower control arm bushings for the two bushings at the chassis side and at the shock side, whereas the energy suspension ones, you have to buy a bushing for the inner one, and then for the shock side you have to buy a separate one. So this is a little bit less expensive, but it's still urethane, still has the sleeves on it. And here's a look at Manny's car. It's a 1990, it's a DX. A little rough around the edges, as we'd say, but in the process of working on it, I think a lot of the parts that we're throwing on today are really gonna change the way the car feels. A lot of those bushings, such as trailing arm, compensator arms, the front lower control arms probably need to be addressed. He already has some rear lower control arms. What are these, Manny?
Function 7s.
Okay, yeah, the Function 7s. And so that's, we don't have to worry about the rear lower control arms. And then the front, we're gonna put the ARP extended wheel studs on there eventually. But right now he doesn't have the new wheel bearings or the ball joints, so we're not gonna do those yet. And so we're gonna get started on it right now. Let's get to work, and first thing we wanna work on is those rear trailing arms. I wanna see how well those e-brake cables fit on a CRX. Over here we were working on a stud that had broken off where the camber kit is. And luckily we were able to salvage the hole without having to put a new thread in there because it's really difficult to get back here on those. Let me see, let's check it out. Nice. As you can see, it's kind of spread it open now after we've been prying at it, but using the reverse drill, the drill bit and then the reverse threaded pieces, we were able to save it and get it out of there. And here's a look at it. We were able to get it off in two separate pieces. You can see what the original bolt looks like. Now I was able to drill all the way through, which made it a lot easier because I think it relieved all the pressure on the outsides of the bolt. So luckily we were able to save that hole.
You got another 10 in there.
Good.
A little more up. Don't take it off though. I'm not trying to. Like that.
And here underneath the car we got the rear trailing arms on. And we're working on the e-brake cables, and we knew there was gonna be a little bit of length, so what we did, ran it forward, we kind of looped it around once and then in. So you have this excessive room up here, and we're not able to use either of the brackets, so I just kind of left both those there. And then I put a zip tie onto the e-brake cable next to, there's a little mount on the gas tank here. So it keeps it up, and it's not hanging any lower than the original one does. And it seems to be tightening just fine too. We haven't adjusted it yet. We're gonna put the car on the ground before we do. But when we pull it here, you'll notice on the caliper itself, you'll see it go ahead and it'll tighten the e-brake cable and it'll loosen it up and give us some slack. Now, if you're curious on how I did that, what I normally do, I will measure the sizing of the bushing while it's in there. That way I can get as close to reading as possible, and then I'll find sockets that fit. Like for instance, on the inboard side of the control arm, this 36 millimeter, it's a socket that I use for wheel spindle nuts. That one seemed to fit perfectly on the backside where the bushing had enough room to slide into it. And then I used a 19 mil on this side. And then for the larger one, the shock bushing, I used a 1 3/4 inch to make sure it was wide enough for the bushing to fall into. And then I used, this is from Harbor Freight, these are the Pittsburgh impact wrench sockets. I used a 21 mil. So I could give you these numbers, but sometimes different socket sets are different diameters. So what you need to do is, it's easiest to measure it. That way you can determine which one's gonna fit easily into each different arm and then push them out without getting your socket stuck in the arm. Here Manny and Z are working on the CRX. Trying to finish up the front. We got the front lower control arms on with the white line bushings in. Just finishing putting the knuckles back onto those, so then we can get the camber kit put on next. And Z's chick actually owns the Dragon now. He brought that over today. Just kind of need to fix the wire on the O2 sensor. And he also wanted to help out and learn a little bit about the cars.
You found it?
What
Yeah.
was it?
Right there, and it was right below the muffler on the RSX.
Oh shit. Nice.
Yeah, I just have to
Is it right there?
Put it on.
Little gap on
To the right? Right there. Right there.
What's up, dude?
Is this the place where you...
Yeah, it's where we always come out and do get a couple runs in. All right, guys, we finished up with Manny's car for the day. How's it feel? Much better? The suspension feels a lot better? We finished up the Skunk 2 upper arms, all those bushings on the lower control arms. Definitely needed it. The old ones were a little worn out. The rear disc brakes, those were already in really good shape as we had been using them on the white SI. And so next we're gonna do the ZC swap here, hopefully in the next month or so, get that taken care of. How many poles?
6.
1, 2, 3.
Starting with this one.
6 pole?
Yeah.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All right. I apologize for the wind. These guys want to settle a little D15 multi-point versus D15 dual point. Who do you think's gonna win?
I don't know.
So maybe you guys will enjoy the content. I know some of you might want to talk shit about the way the cars look or the cars we have out here racing, but we're just here to have a little fun. And this is what it's all about. And these are the kind of people I like to gravitate towards. Not everyone has a shitload of money trying to build a car, and hopefully we'll get this car looking a lot better than it is with the swap. The suspension's worked on now. And we're just out having a little friendly fun with a couple buddies. So let's get these two set up and see what happens. How much did you win by? A decent amount?
Huh?
A decent amount?
Yeah.
Yeah?
What do you think?
It looks, when you guys get here, it looks pretty good, but then by the end, it looks like you're pretty far ahead.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah? How much was it? How much did he get you by?
On the first one, it was like probably like car and a half, no?
That's close then, huh? Those guys learn how to drag race. I think that's what it is. You guys gonna go again or what? That's it?
Another one? Right time for the start?
Why don't you give him a car head start?
Another one?
Okay, I'm gonna run up a little bit more, get towards the end. Give him a car length. You gotta go back 2 more poles. Yeah. So these guys are out here enjoying it. Yeah, we have some slow ass cars and we know it. But they're having fun. The guy, Isaiah in the Dragon, I don't think he's ever drag raced before, so it's kind of funny seeing him launch it and trying to drive it. We're gonna do one more. Oh, you lost it at the line. Yo, Z, were you asleep? Caught him sleeping. What are we doing now? We out of here? Okay, let me get in. That'll be it, guys. That'll be D15 B2 MPFI with the SI trans. Got the CRX DX still, stock everything. Transmission, dual point. You can see the difference in the about a 10 horsepower difference plus the shorter gear ratio on the SI transmission, but still a lot of fun for these guys. They really enjoyed it, and that was actually Isaiah's first time ever drag racing. He's never done it before, and he got a wagon a while back, and he's not really too familiar with working on cars, so he's really enjoying it. And I don't know if his chick wants to see that video, but I don't know if she'll mind at all. She probably won't give a darn about it, hopefully. This is one of his homies, Izzy, clean little Del Sol he just picked up. And $500 for this Del Sol. Had a blown engine, but super clean. And I was like, damn, for $500 I would have scooped it up really quick too. So maybe we'll see some of this car in some videos in the future too. Maybe a race between this little single cam and this one when it has the ZC swap. I think that'll be a little bit more fair. Or if Z's down to run a little bit more, we shall see. But I hope you guys like the content. It was cool working with Manny. This guy is a subscriber who became a friend. And I met him off Craigslist about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, when, I don't know if you guys saw the video where I parted out that CRX. I ended up having the seats on Craigslist, and I met him, and then he recognized me, obviously, when we were talking, and we've been friends ever since. And the CRX, obviously, he wanted to do the whole Wings West body kit. That's what he wants to do in time, of course, as money allows. But really cool guy, really cool kid. Fun to work with him. I was glad to spend some time with these guys, getting everything swapped out on his car today. He learned a lot. And that's what it's about for me. You guys know that already. I just like helping people out, and people that are into these cars, of course I appreciate it even more. It's just enjoyable for me, and you know, honestly, that torch has got to be passed to someone. One of my really good friends, his name was Robert Grizzard. He is the one that taught me everything about my cars and kind of lit that fire that still burns, God, some 18 years later. So maybe I'll do the same with these guys, a lot younger than me. Hopefully they'll stick with it, and you never know what these cars will look like in the future. And it's funny, you see this car now and you look at when I started, I had my body kitted Accord, shaped door handles, I had shaped corner lights. Maybe I'll throw some pictures up here so you guys can check it out. And that was definitely my intention until one day I got a ride in my friend's nitrous Type R, and that kind of ended it for me in terms of getting my first GSR. So maybe I'll do the same for these guys. Maybe they'll be out here and be like, man, racing's fun. Get them to come out with me to ASR and do some track days, and you never know how it's gonna go. Because I feel like that's the way of going about it. You race your car, you break them, you fix them. Race, break, fix. We'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.